We're live.
We are live. Welcome everybody to the relaunch of the Fifs podcast. As always, I am your semi-quasi sort of host, Eric Price, and with me today we have, once again, as always, Miss I Give the People What They Want, Brianne LaFall, the alliterative Miss Ash Adwell.
Yeah.
And you know him, you love him, the real Black Spider-Man, a.k.a. Mr. Watch Out for That Fan, a.k.a. Mr. He Liked It So He Put a Ring on It, a.k.a. Mr. Still Funny, Justin L. Jones.
At some point during today's show, we are going to tell you how many members of the White House press corps it takes to actually have a nigga moment with the president.
He's really excited.
That's for later.
And my wife is complaining about our lateness. We are very sorry.
Yes. All right, guys. We are, as I said, relaunching the show, and we are also attempting to make some changes as far as some of the format and what we're doing with the actual show. So we have some time to decide right now that would usually be reserved for if one of us wanted to go off on some particular topic. We'll be using that here. Instead, I'm going to try to quickly go over some of the stuff with the actual relaunch. Obviously, we are restarting the show, and we're moving to YouTube because and Google Hangouts, just because Spreecast is trying to charge us money, and Vocal's awful. So we are moving over to YouTube. We are going to be trying out some show format ideas as far as applying a bit more structure to the show, using YouTube to make clips and put out some stuff that people can post on their walls, tweet, share with friends, that kind of thing, to give people something you can talk to as far as popularizing the show that doesn't require someone to sit and watch us for an hour to figure out if they like us.
Or me flashing my legs.
Look, that's still going to happen. Show to gams. So that's kind of the main, the core part of the relaunch that we're doing right now. We will have some hopefully very interesting things coming here soon as far as unveiling some new kind of bits and segments for the show. Potentially in the further future actually moving into a website and getting ideally some of you all writing for us and interacting with us more. Me and Justin have been doing some show reviews. We are working on getting Brianne and Ash some other stuff, though. As you all know, the alliterative Miss Ash Adwell also has her blog. Ashley, not Ashley.
Yeah, that's still a thing.
So keep your eyes out for that as well. We're dusting off our Tumblr as well, and may even get into some tweeting, though that always seems to lead for trouble for organizations, so maybe we'll leave that alone.
It'll probably be me that gets us in trouble.
It would work for us because essentially we're already, well, I know I am, but we're like already on Twitter anyways. And
yeah, Justin, we all
know
Black
late.
Twitter. We all know Black
late
Twitter.
With us, what you see is what you get, right? So if you're here watching the show, it's because you either like us, you like what we have to say, you enjoy our conversation, so you kind of know what you're getting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's not going to be anything, We're not likely to say anything that we wouldn't back up anyway, so there's not a huge risk with that.
And y'all ain't going to beat my ass, so yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of what we're doing here as far as getting the band back together. Our official launch date is January 28th, 2015.
Yeah. Whenever the King holiday is.
That ain't the King holiday. That's like the 19th.
Week after.
It's the 21st, then, y'all.
Going up on a Thursday.
And I created a great flyer for it.
Oh Lord! It actually is.
Did you get the dates right?
Yeah,
yes, yes, I got the dates right.
I need to put that on my calendar. I think I missed that announcement.
Yeah, and
we will remind everybody.
May end up putting another dry run show in. We'll see. It's probably going to depend on everybody's schedules, what we can line up, and what we feel like we still need to test or clean up during that period of time. But So hopefully you all enjoy the show. We're gonna be, doing our best, and we'll see how this turns out.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go into kind of the first part that we're trying out, which is moving into our week for the first go round. If everyone kind of just wants to go around and talk about, since the last show, anything that you want to share with the viewers, what you've really gotten into watching, playing, reading, new sites you found, something like that, just something that kind of goes into what you've been up to in the last several months. So, Justin, if you want to start us off.
Well, I mean, like what? Our last show. Yeah, we didn't have a show since I got married, so I'm officially married now. Like, I'm actually official.
The wedding pictures are up.
Yes, they are.
And I got my life.
Beautiful.
It was fun. It was fun. Yeah, we were chilling. The major battle we fought with my wedding wasn't, the bachelor party. It was, so for breakfast, the day of the wedding, my brother and I and my two groomsmen, we went to Waffle House.
Oh, of course you did.
Got like the big breakfast platter, something.
All the places to go in this godforsaken city, y'all go to Waffle House.
Yeah. So we're in the room, we're eating, we're just laughing, joking, and then like we get through the place, we're like, yo man, I'm kind of tired. I can get a nap in, right?
No.
I just
get a quick hour, 2 hour nap in, right?
Sir, no.
Why you drink some coffee?
Itis, instant itis.
You have to drink some coffee for that.
My two grooms were like, no, we're walking. So they walked in Lenox Mall, did 2 laps around Lenox Mall, and came back to wake themselves up. Me and my brother like running through the hotel. It's like, gotta stay awake. So that was our big battle. Not hangovers, no, itis. So
nice.
You get Waffle House itis works so fast. You get the itis before you even get the check.
Dude,
it's that bad.
I think I got through half of my waffle before I was like, I'm about to fall asleep.
What time did you go?
We went at like noon. We got back to the hotel at noon. I remember that. We got back to the hotel at noon. So, and the wedding was at 5. And we were just like, yeah, we could sleep for like a couple hours, right?
Well, you're a guy. You probably could have. Like, if you already got your hair cut, like, all you got to do is put the suit on.
Oh, no. We needed all of that time. We needed every minute. Because that's what we were thinking, too. We're just like, oh, we're guys. It's just we put the suit on, brush hair. It'll be cool. Yeah. Oh, no, they're taking pictures the whole time, and you have to go from place to place and pose here and get here. Yeah, we needed every minute of that. So, but no, the wedding was fun, and then me and Tiff went to the Outkast concert. Outkast at Last. That one of the best concerts I've been to. No, I think it was the best concert I've been to.
Nice.
It was just so much fun. It was awesome to see Outkast sort of come together one last time, and I would definitely do it again. We didn't get the Sunday show. The Sunday show was Erykah Badu, Killer Mike, Big Crit. That would have been awesome, but
I'm back.
But it was a good time. It was a good time. So yeah, that's really what's been going on with me. I guess the only other thing that I would rant about is just the whole. If you guys know me, I'm huge in game culture. I'm huge in the gaming world. Like that's just sort of where one of my big hobbies is, and I am frequently disappointed by how the major participants in gaming culture react to diversity or react to.
Oh Lord, what done happened now?
I mean, it's the same shit that's been happening. It's just the whole Gamergate thing's been going down since August. Like it's starting.
Yeah. I've loosely been following that. Loose.
I know some about it, but I haven't been.
Are we dropping out of this thing?
I know it dropped me for a second. I think that
I see two of Justin.
Yeah.
All right, I should be. I don't know why there's 2 of me, but yeah, it definitely kicked me out.
The Illuminati.
Illuminati. But no, it's just like.
Truth to get out.
But like really, anytime any subculture starts introducing, hey, maybe some of the things you enjoy are kind of racist, misogynistic, or problematic, people flip shits. It's like, no, it's not. Stop trying to take it away. It's
You're
like,
being
yo,
so
They
sensitive.
flip their shit and then it's in rape threats.
yeah, I'm just like, or, you know, maybe they're just saying we can do better. Like the example everyone goes to is Grand Theft Auto, right? They say, oh, Grand Theft Auto, they have strippers, they have prostitutes, it's so sexist. I'm like, yeah, there is some sexist and misogynistic imagery within Grand Theft Auto, and it's also a really, from a technical standpoint, a really immersive open world experience. There are good things and bad things about Grand Theft Auto. It can be both, and it's also it was one of my favorite games out last year.
Oh, Grand Theft Auto. What do you expect?
Yeah, like you can admit something is problematic and still enjoy it. Like, take rap music. Yes, rap music has some misogynistic imagery. Is one of my favorite songs out right now by OG Meso? Bitch, you guessed it. Right.
You was right.
So you can critique something and still enjoy it. And gamers don't really get that, and that's partially because of how game developers and game publishers have treated them for the past 20 years as sort of, hey, you straight white guy, our market, you're what matters to us, and we're going to make sure everything, you know, is centered around what you enjoy. And now people are trying to change that paradigm, and they don't know how to act. So.
Shocking.
And poor Anita Sarkeesian got caught up in it, as usual.
Well, yeah, because she started a series of video essays back a couple years old now, about just how women are portrayed in video games, tropes versus women. And anytime these come out, you have a bunch of dudes that are like, oh no, this is false, it's not sexist. It's like, if you actually just watch and listen to the video, you'll see her overarching point. She has one. Yeah, she'll make a reach here and there, but what essay doesn't make a reach? Yeah. And at the end of the day, she's still saying, games are still games. I'm not trying to take anything away. I'm just pointing out, hey, these things exist.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, she's a frequent target. The whole thing really kicked off when an ex-boyfriend of a developer got butthurt and went on 4chan and started talking shit about his ex. And this resulted in her nudes getting leaked, her address getting leaked, and there's all sorts of nasty shit. And it's like, wow, this is who we are. Awesome, guys. I thought we were better than this.
They're basically proving their point, though. I mean, meaning Anita and all the other women, like, you don't respond to charges of being sexist and misogynist with sexist and misogynist behavior. You kind of
it's like
you're an idiot.
You can.
You can, but
and they do. Every opportunity, they do.
I mean, it's kind of like this is kind of prejudice. Really? Shut up, coon. Like, whoa.
Maybe there's a systemic problem with the police department that results in the mistreatment of black and brown people. Shut the fuck up, thug. Whoa, hold on. Where is this coming from?
But wait, Justin.
You need education.
Oh, pull up your damn pants.
I can't.
And with that, I alley-oop it to Breon, because we could rant on those two topics alone for the rest of the show. So I alley-oop this to Breon.
Well, I will start. There's a couple of new things with me. Got the upgraded work. Got a new, job. Different stuff going on. Been busy with that. Part of what's going on in my life is also part of what's going on in Eric's life, so I won't step on that because he got his own announcements to make. But that's pretty much what's going on with me, and I am, I'm raring to go on this whole Bill Cosby thing because I've been holding it in.
Oh man,
she been holding it, y'all.
Because it's so much about it that irritates me to no end. Black people's reaction, white people's reaction, men's reaction, women's reaction. It's so much. It's so much.
She ready to go. I'm excited.
Not to cut everybody off, but as far as the actual formatting and segments, Justin completely stomped across the entire time we had set aside for everyone to quickly go through their stuff. It's an 8-minute segment, and Justin talked for probably 7.5 minutes. Not warranted. Honestly, that's part
We're
of the
gonna have
point.
to start getting timers.
Yeah,
We're
that
gonna
I don't
have
know.
to get timers.
I'm running one. Like
Okay.
that's I'm keeping track. Like
Oh
I'm
my
starting it on each
god.
segment.
Oh.
So here's what we
Why
should
did
do
I
then.
hear Limerita with Beyonce timer?
Mm-hmm. Nice.
If you're running the timer, if no one else can see the chat, you can send us a message. You be like, time, just so
Yeah.
we can.
So I just want to let you all know that if we're holding to the format, we can actually go into the first fifth, and you can go off on Bill Cosby.
Well, there's the alley oop right there. Alley oop it. Let's go.
We're
Okay.
really good at segues
You can
here.
hit it.
Hard segue.
Really.
So the whole Bill Cosby thing has revealed a whole lot to me about the community of blackness. Basically, because I've seen a lot of stuff float across my timeline on my social media, most of which is saying that, they don't believe what's going on with Bill Cosby. And honestly, here's my thing. I don't know if it's all true. I will say getting accused that many times is an aggressive number. But I will also say at best, he's a philandering adulterer. At best.
At best.
That is your upgrade from everything else that's been going on. You are a habitual philandering adulterer for decades. That is your upsell.
That's fucked up in itself.
I can't, it's the same thing like when Kobe Bryant, I was like, I don't really feel bad for you, because if you weren't cheating on your wife, this wouldn't even be as much of a question. Because it's not like you're denied. It's not like and then on top of that, it's not like he even denied any. Like, he never came out and said anything. Like, he never denied it. He never said I didn't have sex with that woman. He never said I did have sex with her. It was consensual. He just didn't say nothing. I was just like, these things are strange. And I love the Cosby Show. Don't get me wrong. I grew up on the Cosby Show and Different World. I love it to death. I used to love Bill Cosby before he started talking about black people, and now all this extra. But I just feel as though black people have hit this wall where that whole respectability politics beginning came with the Cosby Show, and now they're meeting like Bill Cosby and Cliff Huxtable are not the same person, and I think it's giving a whole lot of black people some type of identity crisis, and they don't know what to do with themselves on my timeline. I done seen some foolishness.
Girl.
So much foolishness.
I will say, as far as Kobe goes, the funniest thing to come out of that trial is, in court record, you have Kobe Bean Bryant saying, I came on her face. That's my thing. It's what I do. That is in court record. Kobe Bean Bryant saying, I came on her face. I mean, that's what I do. It's my thing.
That is in court records. And can we pause for a second? They really made that man's middle name Bean. Like,
yes. His dad's nickname is Jelly Bean, so they named him after his daddy.
Yeah.
Oh God, Negroes and their nicknames.
No, that's a real thing.
Yes. Kobe Bean Bryant. That is his name.
Yes, his dad was. What was his dad? Old ABA player.
Yeah, Jelly Bean Bryant.
Yeah, Jelly Bean Bryant, and he named him Kobe Bean Bryant.
Negroes and their nicknames. I swear to God.
That's a real thing.
No
but yeah, so hold on. Eric just shared something, and you're gonna have to do this one because I can't get through it without laughing.
I'm gonna share this.
Please do.
I'm gonna screen share this. If I can, if the internet will let me.
God bless internet.
But no, just like with Bill Cosby, here's my thing. I'm so comfortable with saying, if 20 plus women are going to accuse you of rape and they all have a very similar story about your methods and your, how you behave towards them, I'm pretty comfortable with calling you a rapist. And if I'm wrong, and if it turns out all 20 of them are lying, cool. I'll admit that I was wrong. You didn't rape 20 plus people like they said you did. But
statistically, out of them 20, maybe 2 or 3 might be lying.
I put it this way. If I'm on a jury, and that's part of the evidence that gets wheeled in, I'm like, damn, that's a lot of people with the same story. I wonder.
Almost the same exact fucking story.
So I'm 1 or 2 might be exaggerating. 20 plus? Nah, son.
Yeah.
You a rapist, nigga. I'm sorry.
And I'm so cool with saying that. I'm so cool with saying that, and if I'm wrong, cool, I'll be wrong. But the odds of me being wrong with 20 plus...
niggas don't go to jail.
And that's the other thing.
The statute of limitations is up. Way past up.
We have... Hold on. Before we get into that, I noticed Bree had the screen share up. Is there any way to lock the screen so only Bree's screen would show, and all of us wouldn't pop up when we talk? Is there a way to do that?
I'll put it back.
Hold on. Testing. Yeah, I'm talking in it.
Okay. So, this is... Oh, Fox News, how I love you.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I think I did it.
Yeah, I see it. So... Is Bill Cosby a somnophiliac? Meaning someone who was aroused by sex
Oh,
with a person
hell
who
no.
is asleep or unconscious?
No, damn it.
Yes, that's a real thing.
So, a rapist.
A rapist.
I mean,
you could have sex with someone that's unconscious.
You could get them to agree ahead of time, sign paperwork to the effect that I would like to have sex with you while you are asleep or unconscious, and after signing the appropriate paperwork, filling out the requisite forms, get them notarized and agree that this is what I would like to do. But Bill Cosby could just be a lazy somnophiliac. Just playing devil's advocate here.
So if that's a thing, are they supposed to keep pretending to be asleep, or because I feel like if you were actually engaging in sexual intercourse, somebody should wake up.
Maybe he's bad. You don't know. Maybe that's what's kept him and Camille together. Her ability to lay still and not move.
I'm not fixing to fool with you today.
You don't know. It could be.
All I'm saying is that I love that they came up with some type of other word for rapist. No, it's not rape. It's just an unconscious sex fetish.
Yeah.
Surprise butt sex. No.
But he's not a rapist.
No,
my entire comment on Bill Cosby, as Brian knows, is very simple. I just need one person to tell me how do you get accused by 14 plus people?
Oh, it's up to 20 now.
I want you to think of anything you could be accused of doing by 14 or more people.
With the same story.
One of my friends said,
how?
If you had a child, and she was like, for everybody who's a parent, if your child came home with 14 notes from 14 different teachers, you don't beat the crap out of them.
I'm saying.
What could anyone find 14 people to tell the exact same story? The exact same story.
Well, I mean, but that's the other reason why some people think it's a conspiracy, because the stories are so similar. And that's the other part about it, is that now you kind of tainted the pool, because now, after you get so many, anybody can come up and tell the same story because now everybody knows the MO, so you can just add in.
Yeah, but you still have to have been alone in the same room as him. Like, I can't go up and be like, yeah, in 1973. Like, no one's going to believe that. That's not going to work. So, how? That's all I want to know.
And a bunch of people don't even know each other. And let's keep in mind, these fucking allegations didn't come back up again until that comedian guy mentioned them again. So had the comedian not made this stand-up comedy routine, these accusations date back to the 60s and 70s, basically around the time when my damn mama was born. I mean, it's one thing for 20 plus people to tell the same story about you, but for decades?
But the other part about it is that racism is also playing a lovely role in this on both sides. Because like I was telling Eric earlier, on one side, black people are saying, hey, if a black dude had raped one white woman, let alone all these white women, there's no way he would have been able to get away with it. Conversely, on the other side, we have some people who are like saying that, you know, boogeyman, black man, rapist, whole trope stereotype. And if you heard the interview with Janice Dickinson, where she was talking about this and she was going off, and honestly, I think she was high as a kite. Honestly.
Janice Dickinson is always high as a kite.
But she was talking about how she was like, they asked her, do you have anything to say to the other women? And she was like, we are a stronger race. And it was like, pause.
See, white women, they stay fucking up.
Is that what you meant? Is that what you meant?
So I have two things, but before I do that, the screen lock is still on Bree, so if we can flip that.
I've turned it off already. I don't know why it's still doing the thing.
Wait, I think it's off now.
I've been turned it off. I'll be right back. Give me a second.
Okay. So, again, like Ash brought up, the only real reason why this sort of came up again is because Hannibal Buress made a joke. That's kind of what it is to be a rape victim, right? Like, no one believes your story until a man validates it, right?
True.
So that's one. There's so many layers of fucked upness about the situation. That's one of them, that it took a man saying, hey, you know, this dude might be a rapist, for people to actually look at it seriously and not actually believing the story of the victims. The other thing is, when these situations come out, you really start to see just how savage some dudes are. And just the lengths they will go to defend this. Well, why are you taking drinks with Bill Cosby anyways? Like, so
who goes back again?
There is so much that goes into like the psychology of a victim in that situation that you cannot apply normal people logic. Like, you can't say, oh, well, if I put my hand on the stove and it burns me, I'm not putting my hand back on the stove. I'm like, yeah, because rape is just like burning your hand on an electric stove. Those are totally the same things.
Yeah.
I will say this, though. I find it great that after all the respectability politics that Bill Cosby has been politicking on for the past few years about black people, that it comes out that he's been doing all this adultering. And I would just like to say, Bill Cosby, you should pull your pants up, because clearly it's getting you.
Well, I mean, the respectability is why he's been able to get away with all this. Like, in that sense, you could argue he has a point, because he's been able to bury all this for so long because of respectability politics and all that. But speaking arguably of respectability politics, the next thing that I know all of us really want to get into is the Eric Garner case and the response to it, that really have been a lot of people showing their ass. And so
I came back at the right moment, huh?
Yeah. And so
Right back.
A lot of people said a lot of stupid things. And there was one thing that I sent out to these guys earlier about something that Rudy Giuliani said, basically saying that teachers' unions are part of the reason for what happened with the Eric Garner case, because, you know, there's not enough education in the black community and poor public schools, and we need a voucher system and all this stuff. And it's a very interesting argument to me because he cloaks his argument in the idea of, school freedom of choice and all that, which I don't know that the Republican way for, school freedom of choice is necessarily the right one, but you could at least make an argument for that. And historically, though now less so, education has traditionally been a great way to improve the lives and livelihoods of people. So it's not as though what he's saying there is awful, horrible, and terrible, but it's the just layer upon layer of bullshit that he wraps around it, where it's the teachers' unions that we need to bust up, and it's, the black community not valuing education, and the last people who are at fault, with the smallest amount of fault, are the police officers who overreact with force. That's the last reason that this happened. That's the part that, we can address that last. Even though that's the easiest, that should be one of the easiest things to quickly address now, we need to wait until after everything else before we get to it.
I'm so sick of that whole argument about the black community and education and wearing belts and all this other kind of stuff. I am sick to death of it. It doesn't make sense to me for you to literally say that with historically how black people have interacted and viewed police, where a generation or two ago you had police in uniform lynching people and taking pictures, and now all of a sudden you think that you probably actually have more trust from the black community now than you ever would have in any given time. And part of the reason why I think, because someone else was discussing this and it really made me think, a lot of what the quote-unquote black community goes through as far as like crime and interaction is because technically it's like more of a wild, wild west situation, because black people are not calling the police and police aren't showing up when you do call them. I'm from the hood, if you will. Not the deep hood, but hood enough. And you would rather take your chance with Joe Blow on the street than call the police, because usually the view is that the police are going to make the situation worse.
Yeah, it's just bullshit out of proportion. And
in addition to that, I feel like conversely, either the police aren't going to show up, so it's no point in calling them. They're going to show up and they're going to make things worse, so it's no point in calling them. And so a lot of times, black people, especially in poorer communities, like kind of basically police themselves. They have to watch out for themselves. I feel like it's a lot lonelier of an existence because you don't depend on police like quote-unquote greater American society might. Because if you get, something stolen from you, like, what you gonna do? Somebody might get shot, but it's not gonna be like you're gonna be looking for the person that, like, you're looking for the person in the neighborhood that stole your stuff. You're not calling the police to do it. You might call the police and you be like, yeah, whatever, they're not gonna do nothing. You're gonna be the one going to the pawn shops. You're gonna be the one scouting, looking for your stuff down the street. Like, there is no put in place action with black people for how the police are supposed to act with us the way they act with greater America. And so when people bring up black on black crime, even though that's a crappy statistic that's the same across the board for classes, dependent even across races for the classes, is the more poor you are, the more crime there is. It's just across the board.
Right.
But for black people in the quote-unquote black community, the relationship with police in America has never been, Mr. Friendly Police Officer. And so you can't claim ownership of that when you know how we have historically viewed the police and how the police have historically treated us.
Yeah, I mean, like we were actually kind of talking about the other day. In all of those pictures you see of like the marches in Birmingham and dogs being sicked on them and fire hoses being shot at them, they didn't bus police in from Klanland. Like, those were the police officers who lived in Birmingham, who worked in Birmingham, who policed those neighborhoods. They were the ones sicking dogs on them, blasting them with hoses, dragging them out of stores. Like, what great relationship do you think ever existed here if this is what they're willing to do to kids?
Right. So part of that is the police department functions as well as the people want it to. And that's why it's so easy for people to say, oh, well, the black community needs to get it together. If you just stop black on black crime, or if you just went to school, or, oh, if you just stop listening to rap music. Because if we're being real, the police functions the way they expect it to. Look at the reaction to when Michael Brown was killed. He was a thug that needed to be put down. Even though Darren Wilson's account was, Darren Wilson's, testimony was by all accounts a video game boss fight, they still believed him. And
load of bullshit.
Oh, Jesus.
With Eric Garner, there's two memes with Eric Garner that really annoy me. The first meme is, well, if he didn't resist arrest, he wouldn't be dead. So the justification is, oh, I wouldn't have resisted in that instance. So clearly, if he had just complied with the police, nothing would have happened. Even though if you watch the video, you realize he at no point resisted.
All he did was put his hands up.
He puts his hands up. Like, the international symbol of I surrender is he put his hands up. The other meme is, oh, we can support Eric Garner because he is a good victim, right? They say, oh, he wasn't doing anything wrong. He was respectable. He's not like Michael Brown, so I can support him. That's the other meme that sort of annoys me with that. I don't know if we're going to have time to get into the whole you pick which victims suit your cause.
Why? But in all accounts, whenever this type of stuff happens, they look for especially if it's a person of color or any other marginalized person, they look for something to pull. Like this young boy in Cleveland, I believe, Tamir.
Yes.
This kid is 12 years old, doesn't have any criminal record or whatsoever. So what do?
They go after
mama and daddy.
Yeah.
They did shit on this baby, so they go after his mama and daddy.
Here's the thing with Tamir Rice. One, Cleveland Police Department lied. Let's get that out there first.
Repeatedly.
Before they knew there was video, they lied about how the shooting happened. Once the video came out, they said, oh, don't release the rest of the video, because as we learned with the rest of the video, if you didn't think performing a drive-by on a 12-year-old was the lowest the Cleveland Police Department could sink, oh no, they actually sank lower than that. So the video with Tamir Rice
started digging.
The video with Tamir Rice, he's not even playing with the gun when the cops show up. They just show up and kill him. It is a drive-by by all definitions. They then, I believe, they put his sister in handcuffs and they point a gun at his mother.
Yes.
While denying Tamir.
The 14-year-old sister was put in handcuffs.
Right.
So we got a 12-year-old dead, a 14-year-old.
No, he was still alive at that point.
Oh, he was still alive.
He was still alive. They were denying him first aid, and that's what the sister and mom were trying to say. They were trying to say, hey, he needs a doctor. They weren't getting him a doctor.
Yeah.
So the same thing happened with Garner.
Yeah.
They waited like 7 minutes to perform CPR on him.
Yeah, that's what you have to keep in mind in these cases is police officers are first responders. They have, at the very least, basic first aid training, and yet they don't exercise any of it in these cases, including Michael Brown, where he's very clearly non-responsive and not Eric Garner, where he's non-responsive, not breathing, Tamir Rice, where he is on the ground having been shot multiple times, and they do nothing.
Right. And that's what the video shows. The video will show you. The cop stands over Tamir Rice for about a good 2-3 minutes before the video cuts on, then we realize that the sister and mother arrive at the scene. So they do nothing. And that's partly because that's what we expect. Well, not we. That's what Greater America expects them to do. Oh, you put a thug down, you just wait for someone
to let him die. Yeah.
Right. So because I hate myself, I went back and started looking at old LA history and how the LAPD was formed. Willie Parker sort of set the model for not just the LAPD, but the NYPD followed this model. Missouri, the state of Missouri really looked at Willie Parker as a best practice model. And once I explain what Willie Parker did, you'll realize, holy shit, this makes a lot of sense. My parents used to live in Missouri. They used to live actually not too far from Ferguson. And when they heard what happened, they're like, yeah, shit makes sense. It's been that way for at least 20 years. But what Willie Parker essentially did when black people started migrating from the Midwest to the West for jobs because they were burning down factories so niggers wouldn't work there, he started rebuilding his police force as a new task force to deal with this threat. And what did he do? He went to the South and started recruiting ex-military whites from the South, from Alabama, from Florida, from Tennessee, from Georgia. He wanted to build an anti-black task force, and he largely succeeded. And that sort of militarized model of the police sort of followed the Ray Kelly followed that model. He sort of took it to its logical conclusion with stop and frisk and the other invasive surveillance techniques. St. Louis PD, you look at how they responded to protesters. They definitely followed the militarized model of a police department. But you really have to look at the police departments in the 50s were only 60 years removed from this. So our parents lived through this. We're built as anti-black task force. So they still, in large, behave as anti-black task force. Like, that's what they do. That's what they're built for.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, like Willie Parker, for all of his faults, he wasn't corrupt. He was just a staunch racist. And he did not hide that at all. Like, he was quite proud of the fact that he had built an anti-black task force. Like, he was very proud of that fact.
Hell, it's still going on today, clearly.
Yeah. And that
history is amazing.
It is amazing.
Like I said,
when it's not romanticized, it's amazing.
It is a systemic culture problem with the police department that when you're asking, so with the Eric Garner case and then the Michael Brown murder, you're asking state district attorneys to investigate, prosecute, and convict the very agency they depend on to deliver criminals to them.
Yeah, that'll work out well.
Yeah.
So there's not really an incentive, especially in Bob McCullough's case, Bob McCullough is a cop groupie. That's what he is. His daddy was a cop. He said, if I can't be a cop, I'll be a state prosecutor. It's the next best thing. He's a groupie. And so you're asking him to prosecute a cop. And the National Bar Association put out a series of letters. The first letter they put out was Bob McCullough should recuse himself. How can you not see that this is a gigantic conflict of interest? The second letter they put out was, dear God, the grand jury process you gave Darren Wilson, are you offering that to all of your defendants? Because holy shit, this is not only unethical what you've done, it's highly unusual and it's never been done before. So they had a lot of fun with that. And in the state of New York, they had no interest in getting an indictment for these police officers. Same with John Crawford in Ohio.
Right.
That's the new model. If you don't want a George Zimmerman trial, a high-profile trial, if you don't want that, grand jury it. You can control the entire environment of the grand jury. It is secret, and you can sort of get the result you want.
Honestly, the only reason that the Zimmerman trial took place is because he was not actually a police officer. In my mind, that is the only way they even got to trial.
And because people raised 10 types of hell, but even now we're raising 10 types of hell, and that shit gonna happen to Darren Wilson.
The same thing with their like the cameras and stuff, and I'm just like, the cameras isn't necessarily the problem because Eric Garner, the whole thing was on tape, and they still, it's the attitude, it's not visual.
It's institutionalized racism.
Right, and that's kind of why I think we need the cameras. The cameras aren't for us, and I think we have to acknowledge that. The cameras aren't for us. We know what's going on. The cameras are for people that don't necessarily believe it. They're for outside agencies to gather information and metrics and evidence to say, hey, you are not responsible enough to police yourselves. So with these cameras and with this other research I've done, I've determined you need an outside organization to monitor you, which I think is the logical conclusion of, the cop cameras. You have to, like we have with the Voting Rights Act. Certain voting districts, like Cobb County, Georgia, whichever district Cobb County reports to, before they gutted the Voting Rights Act, had to report to a federal court to say, hey, are we allowed to vote this year? Like, can we do our voting procedures? Is this acceptable?
Right.
I think you need that for cops. Like, you need some federal outside agency to review them and say, hey,
I agree with that.
Kind of not cool to just choke out a guy in the middle of the street. Like, that sort of warrants some sort of punishment, right?
Yeah. But, I mean, it's kind of the idea. The body cameras operate on a similar principle of black people didn't need to see the video of the Birmingham marches. It wasn't
Yeah.
for us. We knew what was going on. The point was to broadcast that image into the homes of white Americans and make them see, oh no, they're not exaggerating. They're not making stuff up. They're not being sensitive. They are attacking children with dogs and fire hoses and beating them.
Exactly.
And you
Honey.
can't claim your moral high ground while seeing this.
Honey, come quick. Apparently they're beating Negroes like hotcakes.
And see, that's a big part of what happened with the civil rights movement too. It wasn't just bringing it into the homes of lily white middle America. It was broadcast to the world.
Yeah.
And you're starting to see that happen with Ferguson too. You see people in Gaza, Philippines, India, London staging protests. They're showing, okay, maybe these niggas aren't crazy. Maybe this system's kind of fucked up. It's kind of cool.
I knew this was going to be more than just a black American issue when I saw people in Palestine tweeting out, yo, when you get hit with tear gas, don't rinse it out with water, use milk.
Use milk.
Yeah, when you getting tips on terrorism, like
from people in Palestine,
like, I know this one. I know tear gas. I can help.
Bill,
and like just seeing that make its way down here, and then seeing like people in Palestine, we know what it's like to be shot at for the color of our skin. It's just like, okay, this is not just a black American issue. This is worldwide.
But America likes to think that it's on such a higher moral ground than like places like China, than the Tiananmen squares and the Middle East and all this other kind of stuff. When the rest of the world looks at these things and is like, hey, this high horse that you're on about that. So what you gonna do about it?
Well, and in addition to all of the Ferguson stuff, the New York stuff coming out, they also released the torture report on the cia's interrogation methods. And it was
to quote our president, we tortured some folks
for no reason.
Like that is a Barack Obama quote. We tortured some folks. Like I get that's just his speech pattern. That's just what he says. But dude, we tortured some folks. That just comes off. That is burning my brain.
If it was a little bit more hood, he might as well say we just tortured some niggas.
I think that's what he wanted to say. Honestly, he just was. I mean, yeah, we did some good work, but we also tortured some niggas. I mean, it happens. Basically, everything we accused the Bush administration of doing in 2004, this report confirms. And not only does it confirm the horrific things we did, it was actually worse. America was running medieval-style dungeons. And that's the nicest way I could put it. We were running dungeons.
Yeah.
And by every definition, these are war crimes. Like, you cannot starve someone. You cannot threaten sodomy to someone. These are things that are clearly defined.
You cannot send a picture of someone crying to their family.
You can't threaten to kill them. You can't threaten to kill their family. You can't threaten to sexually assault their family members.
You cannot sexually assault them. My personal favorite.
Mom. What?
My personal favorite moment was they testified. We did not parade people around naked, but there were some guards that had the prisoners walk around naked. But it wasn't a parade.
Yeah,
there were no banners, no
floats. We didn't have any large balloon animals. It wasn't really a raid per se. There were no dancing girls. It was really just more of a stroll. I mean,
I mean, we did it, but not like how you said. You didn't say it like that. Nah, man.
You make it sound so bad. I mean, that's like we were talking about with Law and Order and all that stuff. We have become to expect that in order to get the result, to get the bad guy, you have to bend the rules.
But we have reports from that very organization. That's what I don't get. Well, I do get it, but the CIA actually has done studies on this, and they have determined torture is, by and large, an ineffective method of obtaining intelligence. There are far more effective.
I think you're forgetting. freedom in America.
Like, this report came out in 2000. It came out right after the president got elected. They said not only is torture ineffective, it's also expensive because these, holding facilities cost a lot of money.
Tax dollars.
So you're actually wasting money.
To torture.
You're wasting money to torture, and you're not even getting valuable intelligence from it. It's not worth it.
Hey, at least it's not welfare. Hey.
Exactly. Folks are mad about food stamps when you using my tax money to torture people and it ain't even working.
America is the greatest, freest, most wonderfulest country in the world. We have the moral high ground on all issues, including issues where we have abdicated all morality because America.
Because America.
Like, the stuff you read in this report, you expect to hear out of a Captain America comic. Like, we are behaving like Hydra.
Yeah.
That's not okay.
That's the ultimate.
That's so sad.
Is this
That's
idea
depressing.
that gets pushed is also the concept that you cannot hold something to a standard and care about it. You can't in any way support, policing and hold police to a high standard. You can't in any way support America or the wars that we have gotten involved in and hold us to a high standard on torture and say that we can't just go around doing whatever.
Honestly, America only believes in middle ground when it comes to issues. And you can be a silent majority, not be actively racist, not be actively sexist, some type of moral high ground. However, anytime you question something where you suggest there is a middle ground, then there's an issue. Yeah. And you can't, and largely society cannot seem to understand that there can be a middle ground of understanding, and at the same time, passive acceptance is still acceptance.
Gotta hear both sides.
You're supporting it with your silence.
Gotta hear both sides.
You have to, and then I always say it's kind of like Nazi Germany, because I feel like a lot of times people don't feel bad for black people and societally, but they have they feel some type of way about the World War II and all that. So I feel like when you really look at the Nazi regime and how they were able to be so successful, of the majority of people who were silent about what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And people just don't want to realize that not being against, you're either, a lot of times you're either for or against something, and there's that silent majority where it's just like in the Bible it says you're hot or cold, but you can't be lukewarm.
Yeah. Well, it's the idea that one of the activists I was listening to was talking about the idea of being racist, non-racist, and anti-racist, and a lot of Americans basically just choose non-racist. I'm not a racist, but I'm not actually going to actively fight or try to stop racism in any way or systematic injustice. I just don't want, I just won't actively contribute, and you're not really helping. You don't get a cookie for that. You don't get applause for, not actively
not
helping.
A crappy human being.
Helping. You are passively.
Yeah.
So, but we walked all across the third segment as I kind of let them know, and so we were actually at the portion where we would usually be doing our kind of mailbag, Q&A, anything like that, which is why I commented on the
I'm on
Facebook
Facebook,
page
so
for you all. If you all had any questions or comments for us to address on the actual air.
topics, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Or we could just keep talking about torture.
Well, hold on. While we wait on that, because I do want to end this on a light note. Blackish, way funnier than I expected. I know I would enjoy it.
That show.
It's pretty funny.
It's corny.
It follows the same sort of postmodern humor that Modern Family and Jane the Virgin follow. It's aware of itself, but not really. But it's still pretty funny.
I have to give it a chance. I try to support, and it looks like it might be good. But I'm never at home to watch TV, so I
Yeah, I don't
need
watch
to.
isn't.
TV either, so it's like, man.
I just catch it on, like, Tiffany and I'll probably watch it on Hulu tomorrow. It's pretty funny. Like,
Is the whole
if you,
thing on Hulu?
maybe question mark? I don't see why not.
I shall investigate this. I
Um,
shall investigate this.
But yeah, so there's that. Gotham and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. wrapped up, and I'm still in my feelings about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
You can't talk about it. I'm still one episode behind, so you don't get to share
Okay.
today.
Okay. Don't look at my Twitter then, Eric.
All right. No, I haven't really been active on Twitter because I know
Good
that
call.
the episode aired and all that. So, and a lot of the people who I follow right now on my main account, I know watched it. So, I've been avoiding a lot of that. Most of the questions that we've gotten in so far have really been about functionality, as far as getting the Q&A working, the showcase stuff working, and the answer to that is basically we're new to this too. We're going to try to get
Pump
some
your
more of
brain.
that set up.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Ash.
But we do want to have the Q&A function. That is something. I actually think I know how to get it to work, because I got it to work once. I was actually running a meeting through Google Hangouts, and I got the Q&A section to actually work. So if I can remember what I did. Because it's not just you have to enable it. You also have to enable it, share it to everyone else, give everyone else access, and then you have to. I don't know how they would see it on the YouTube link, but then all of us would be able to see it.
Yeah, so
Gotcha.
there's also potentially us doing something like a hashtag
That's what I'm thinking
that we'll
too.
monitor. We're also going to work on as we kind of build up to also put out links to the actual stories. If we do cite a story, to try to get those links out to you all as well if you want to read them. So we do have some plans for all of that, but this was kind of a fairly impromptu dry run just to see how the format feels and get our feet wet as far as actually using the Hangouts on air for what we're doing. We're actually probably going to be trying out another piece of software that functions as an intermediary. I don't know how well that will work, but we'll see. It'll give us the ability to do a few on-screen overlays and some other stuff too, but we'll see if that is an actual viable option or if we need to stick a little bit more with YouTube kind of Hangouts core functionality. So
that's right.
We're excited.
We will see. We will see.
Oh yeah, well, scrolling back. I'm scrolling back.
Games to buy this holiday season. Justin's been trying to get me to get Destiny.
Yes. Destiny is pretty dope. It's a first person shooter MMO. Do not let Bungie lie to you. It is an MMO. It functions like an MMO. It has a hub world like an MMO. You progress the story like an MMO. It's an MMO. And it's not a bad thing. Massively multiplayer online. So you think your World of Warcraft, you think your, I guess that is the big one out now, World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft, Guild Wars 2.
So y'all start using the lingo. I'm not really familiar with the lingo.
I don't think I have any games I want right now. I picked up Shadows of Mordor for Black Friday, $25. Because my controller died, so I had to get a new one, and then they had Shadows of Mordor for $25. So I haven't gotten into playing it yet because I'm replaying Mass Effect 3 right now.
I thought you were playing that game with death fighting
Darksiders 2
or something.
I kind of lost a little bit of interest in Darksiders 2, and I wanted to replay Mass Effect 3 with the downloadable content. So I'm replaying through that right now, and then I'll probably switch over to Shadows of Mordor. And Darksiders 2 is free, so...
Well, there you go. I have to finish Mass Effect 3, too. I played through Mass Effect 1. Dear God, I'm never playing that again.
Yeah.
I get why people love it so much. It's a great story.
Once is enough.
Functionality and gameplay-wise, it is terrible. It was made for the PC, not for consoles. And if you play it on a console, you'll probably want to shoot yourself in the face like I did.
The only good thing about that was the sniper sway. The only thing I've liked about it that I felt like they should have kept was that low-level sniper weapons. When you zoomed in, they had a slight sway on the reticule, and they removed that in later versions. It's the only thing that I think they should have kept. Everything else deserved to be changed, and I'm glad they did.
Yeah. And that's just part of nerds resisting change. Like Mass Effect 2 came out, everyone's like, oh, they changed it, it sucks. I'm like, I'm playing it, it seems pretty cool. I finally went back and played one. Like Tim will tell you, during the final boss fight, I almost threw my controller at the TV because it is so frustrating.
It is.
Trying to fight in a game that punishes you for things you would normally do in a, like, you're trying to aim at something, the game will actively punish you for aiming. It's like, anyways, it's bad design. I can't stand bad design.
It is.
So.
All right, we have come up to the final segment of this show. This is reserved for us to try to end things on a little bit lighter note, especially after a whole bunch of heavy stuff on this one. So I believe Justin had a particular story set aside for this that he wanted to get into, and then if we have some time or anyone else has some stuff, then we'll jump into that. I don't know if we're going to want to stay on for a little bit afterwards to, again, kind of discuss any of the technical stuff that's been going on, but I'm going to quit walking across Justin's time so he can jump into this story.
Right. So this story is based on Ann Compton went on C-SPAN a couple days ago and complained about how the president is openly hostile to the White House press corps and has on a few occasions cussed them out. Well, someone on Twitter related this story that was told to them by one of the janitorial staff at the White House, and they happened to be working the press room when this particular incident happened. And I'm just going to read the story. So, the press conference is finishing up. Obama is finishing up the press conference when Ed Henry of Fox News says, "Is that it?" And he says it loud, like, "Hey, is that it? That all you're giving us?" And then Chuck Todd from Meet the Press says, "Well, it's it for his presidency." The president was walking off as he heard this, and then he heard what Chuck Todd said, and he, turned around like a black parent and was like, "Say what? Like who? Someone said something? You say something? Speak up! I'm here." So everyone was like, "Oh God!" And then Ed Henry's like, "Oh, I just wanted to know if it was over." And then the president said, "Is what over? Be specific. What you talking about? Is what over?" And then Ed Henry, the press conference, your presidency, it really doesn't matter. Apparently the president said something to the effect of, "Sit your fat ass all the way the fuck down."
Wow.
Oh my.
Apparently Chuck Todd started giggling, to which the president responded, "Fuck you laughing at?"
Ooh.
Whoa.
Whoa.
That's like
Aggressive.
So then the rest of them was like, "Hey, I mean, isn't it true? You're a lame duck. Your presidency's over. You can't do anything." And then the president said, "You don't shut your simple ass up." And then he's just cussing out everybody in the room. And then as he leaves, and he says, "If you thought you had no access before, wait until after today. And I better not see this in any media outlets, or I will show you what no access looks like."
Welp.
Disrespectful.
Now, I don't know how true the story is. This is just a story that was relayed to somebody. It could be completely made up. I would like to believe it. I would like to believe that this actually happened. Especially because I can just see as a black parent walking in, who said something? Oh, you. I got to get you correct.
No, ma'am. No, sir.
When you and your siblings do something and one sibling getting cussed out, you start to laughing. Oh, what you laughing for?
What you laughing at?
You get some of this work too. You get some of this work too. So, who knows if this really happened? I, however, in my little moment of zen, would like to believe that in his waning days, in his last 2 years as president, Obama lets these people know just how the fuck he feels.
Still president of BOFA.
BOFA what? So, someone got Roland Martin with a BOFA. Someone actually got Roland Martin with You know, you should really report that to Bofa. Oh, really? Bofa who? Bofa these nuts, nigga!
Yeah, they did do
That's
that.
our show. We're glad you guys
That's
hung
the
out with
perfect
us.
way to end it.
We're glad you we're glad you hung out with us. Thanks for sticking around through the beta test. Hopefully we'll iron out the kinks as we get ready for the show relaunch.
I'm sorry, y'all.
Yeah,
I
you
need some
guys,
new headphones.
you guys know how to find us. You guys know how to reach us. We're still in the group. I am one of your tyrannical admins. This has been fun. Let's do this again sometime.
The tyranny of Justin has begun.
You notice every time I've become admin, it's because I've asked. Like, I've never had to do anything special. It's just, you guys need an admin? Okay.
That's about how it goes.
Life lessons,
Nice.
folks.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, y'all.